yo, come one, come all, nothing but love, nothing but respect. You know what we do, what we don't, what we is, what we isn't, and what we is here today, bringing you guys and girls. Oh, hang on, I think I might be getting a little bit of background echo or something on that. Hang on. We're here today bringing you guys and girls One Piece, chapter 1107. I got with me today my dude Turtle Hermit, or otherwise known as Young. Say hello, my dude.
Yo, what's going on, guys?
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I was afraid I didn't unmute the right thing then, but it's working perfectly. So, let's get into this, because we actually haven't had the chance to have a discussion stream for a little bit. I'm not even sure how many chapters it's been. It feels like it's been a couple of weeks, but I think it actually may be a couple of months since we've actually had a proper discussion.
I think it's been a while.
Yeah. I'm just going through now. I think the last discussion we had was for 1099.
We didn't even. That's like 9, 10 chapters.
3, 4 months. I'm sure we've definitely talked about the chapters, but it just hasn't been on stream, which is freaking wild. But right, that means we've got plenty of stuff to catch up on and go over, I guess. I've put out the invite as well to a few other people, but if they don't, I haven't heard back from them. So if they don't hop in, that's perfectly fine on their part. But we got plenty to talk about. So first things first. What were your thoughts on this chapter? What would you rank this chapter out of 10?
Honestly, just because of that Van Auger line, I gotta give it like a 9.8 to a 10.
Van Auger. This man, Van Auger, I tell you what, he has some of the coldest moments in One Piece.
Yeah,
Like, the anime just did him a mad gas up. The manga had, like, this moment here with a freaking Gorosei member. And even before that, the dude was the first dude to start shit with Ace through hands. And every time he shows up, he's just got, like, absolute killer lines talking about fate and stuff like that.
his intro was so good too. Like the Straw Hats just chilling on board the Sunny
Mm.
after like a long adventure, and you just hear like three of the of different seagulls. I was gonna say pigeons. Three different seagulls hit the deck, and Chopper like goes up and like pulls the bullet out of them, and then like everybody doesn't believe it, and then it like zooms into like the island. That was
With
so
the
good.
ball out. Dude, him
It was
shooting over
like
the horizon is fucking such a... It's just such a badass thing. Honestly.
right. I wanna know what like actually is with his gun. Like why is it so like cracked? Cause like I think Usopp brings it up.
Mm,
Cause like what kind of a gun would even shoot that far?
I'm, honestly, at this point in time, my height levels are actually rising like crazy for the Blackbeard pirates, because I know in the past I've had the stance of, well, the level 6 impel down breakouties, they're cool, but they're all characters that have all been beaten already anyway, so I'm not like expecting them to be top of the world in strength, right?
Right.
But with the gas that Saturn's giving them this chapter, I'm like, okay, they might be a little more tenacious than I thought. But then that was them before they had their devil fruits. Now that they're starting to get their devil fruits and like starting to get good with them, I'm like, okay, maybe they will have a huge like power cliffing jump where they just jump back into like relevancy, because like we saw Burgess before the strong fruit against Sabo, and he was going relative to Sabo, but just didn't show advanced Haki. And like when Sabo whipped that out, it was kind of like, okay, it's a fair done deal, right? But now that he's got the
Right.
strength fruit, if this man starts learning like advanced Hakis and stuff like that, like we got to think to ourselves, right? Luffy amplifies himself by increasing his strength by making himself bigger. Burgess just may be matching those strikes just with his normal size.
Right.
So it's like I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little fucking excited for these Blackbeard pirates to show up and show out and actually like flex their shit a bit.
I'm excited that it seems like it's being set up that, you know, I mean, we could get to that later. Never mind. We'll get to that later.
I'm sure we will because I'm gonna be talking for a bit about my theory that is being vindicated like crazy at the moment. 12 months of me saying something, and the pieces are falling in line for that one thing to start being true. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty damn excited about it. That being said, we got on the cover page here. Cover request by Araninko. Beppo feels awkward after seeing Law napping with a snow leopard. And low key, Beppo's a petty bitch because if you notice, he's about to pour boiling water in this leopard's mouth, and he's sitting there with a baseball bat to beat the shit out of it.
It's just try to attack me, bro.
Dude, like on some petty ass, like there's only room for one fluffy support animal in this group. Man's about to come in and just clobber the shit out of this fucking leopard. And I also love that Law's KO'd having drunk a whole bottle of vodka to himself. Man is on the
Sleeping with the tiger.
yeah.
You think he shared any with the tiger?
Maybe. Either way, at least I know my man Law likes his vodka. Also, Oda just outright saying, "Hey, this is vodka. One Piece has vodka confirmed now." At least we know that they don't just drink sake.
Right. What if this cover story is telling us that Law and Beppo are in the vodka kingdom?
Ooh!
Where is the vodka kingdom? It is in the New World, right?
Yeah, because that's... No. It was in the New World, because that's where Kaida grew up, right?
Right.
I didn't even pick up on that, but that actually could be an interesting foreshadowing. Especially since Law and Beppo are now, like, traveling to, like, no one knows where. I have taken the stance of saying I think they're going to Elbaf, but if they don't go to Elbaf, maybe they could go to the Vodka Kingdom to try and regroup. That's actually pretty interesting. Because you would assume the Vodka Kingdom is near Hajinosu, since Kaido went to Hajinosu after Vodka Kingdom.
Right.
Okay, that could make sense. That being said, I wish Eggs was here. He would have been so ecstatic because we finally get to talk about Dorian Broggy being back in the fucking mainstream.
Right, bro. Like, crazy how long it's been since we've actually seen them in the main story.
Yeah, it is actually
Like,
wild.
pre-Alabasta is crazy.
I mean, we did technically see them at whatchamacallit, Elbaf the other week, or a couple of months ago, or a year ago now. But there is something I will say. Most of the Straw Hats have never met Dorian Broggy.
Yeah, that's weird to think about. Like, Chopper hasn't met Dorian Broggy.
Chopper, Robin, Frankie, Brooke never met Dorian Broggy. These are older friends. Like, Dorian Broggy are older friends than more than half the Straw Hats. Jinbei, even. That's a, like... It feels like they should all know these guys, but at the same time, they don't. And even Oimo and Kashi, Frankie met them, but Brooke, Jinbei never met these dudes.
Brooke never met him.
Yeah. So
I think it's debatable for Jinbei because he was a warlord and they were stationed to, like, protect a military base. So Jinbei might know them, but
true,
you know,
but
you never know.
I don't really think Jinbei would have met them because I don't think Jinbei would have reason to go to Eni's lobby, and they were stationed at Eni's lobby for 100 years, wasn't it? 50 years, 100 years.
I think it was 50 years.
I think it was 50 because they were set out like half the time ago to go pick up Dory and Broggy. But mind you, how badass is this fucking... We finally get to see the giant pirates in action, and honestly, it's so understandable why they're the strongest nation in the world. Because they've put up with what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We see at least 7 in this first panel of the giant pirates, and they've already just come up and just... They're fucking annihilating ships and everything. And imagine if each one of these giants can do an Elbaf spear.
the the How to Train Your Dragon looking guy is just like demolishing that battleship,
Yeah,
like no diff.
absolutely thrashing it. And in all honesty, right? I had to do a double take a bit because of how tall these guys are compared to the ships. Because Dory and Broggy are meant to be about 22 meters tall, right? But they're towering over some of these ships. But some of these ships that they're towering over, we've already seen, like Kuma clones are like a third the size of. So it's like
Right.
Dory and Broggy may have actually gotten taller in the time skip. Like they like unironically may have had growth spurts, which may seem weird, but remember they're giants, so they've got different lifespans than normal humans, and probably have different growth spans too. They may they may keep getting taller the older they get, which would be an interesting thing to think about. Also, these guys officially have their new weapons because the Dory sword and Broggy's axe, I forget the name of it, that broke. They've obviously gotten replicas remade. I wonder if these are potentially going to be named swords now, like new built named swords.
Maybe if anything, I think Dory's is gonna be a named sword, but I don't think Broggy's axe is gonna be. And I don't know. It just really don't have that design I'm looking for. It looks cool though. It looks cool. Don't get me wrong.
Mm. Either way, it's badass, right? And these guys absolutely thrash through here. Like you said, they're destroying ships casually. They've also there's one dude that has a shield strapped to his elbow, right? So he still has his hand free to fight and punch, but he has it like wrapped around his elbow so he can still block stuff that's incoming and shoulder charge. And it's just like it's so cool finally seeing like giants fight and the difference in their fighting styles and their culture, because it's very easy to just be like, oh, they're just big, they just do big damage. But even seeing them like, even though it's like Viking and a little prehistoric, seeing them going around with like different types of weapons and fighting styles, really interesting. And I don't know if you noticed this, but you said the How to Train Your Dragon guy destroying the boat. Did you notice he has a sun tattoo?
Yeah, yeah. I kind of noticed it. Isn't that the same kind of sun tat or not tattoo, but isn't there they don't have the same like sun symbol on a shield on their boat, like one of the shields on their boat?
Yes, which is near identical to the flag of Alabaster, the symbol in Sky Island, and the Fisherman's Sun Pirates. So,
Cross in Kuma's backstory.
yeah, definitely seems like it's related to Sun God Nika, which, speaking of, we're going to learn the fact that. Okay, two things here. I'm jumping around a bit, but two things here. One, Luffy's in Gear 5 this chapter, but he's training Bonnie how to fight with Gear 5, and Bonnie's able to use Gear 5, right? With her own Devil Fruit. I'm just gonna say this. I've been saying for a while, I think during this, like this incident, at some point in time, Katarina Devon is gonna touch Luffy. Right? Hear me out on this. My wife raised the premise, right? What happens if What happens if we get Gear 5 Bonnie versus Gear 5 Katarina Devon?
Oh, that would be a good fight. That would
Also,
have to mean Bonnie for Nakama though.
also, Katarina Devon learning about Gear 5 earlier, the craziest thing about that would be if she can copy the abilities, what if Blackbeard uses Katarina Devon to find out a way to get around Luffy's abilities? That man is a planner, a strategist. We know he's already doing it with Shanks. If he found out that Luffy has these new crazy abilities, because remember, he was shook that his intel was wrong, that Law has awakened now. He didn't know Law was awakened. So he thought he was going to rookie crush Law. Finds out Law's awakened, is like, oh shit, my intel was off. Right? What if he does the same with Luffy?
Right.
Just saying. Could result in some beautiful craziness, don't you think?
I
Um,
mean, some like wacky cartoonness.
Because I feel like a big problem people have at this point, right? People have a bit of a fear that at this point in time in the story, it's going to be like stuff's either going to be too goofy or because Luffy's got the Toon Force, it's going to be too powerful. But when we start giving other people different ways to counter it and start exposing other people to those abilities, not through Luffy, but other people, so other people are exposed to it and can formulate ways around it, it keeps the fights a lot more interesting for Luffy going forward. So it's a good way to level out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But, that being said, Usopp sees Dorian Broggy on the island, absolutely frothing over it. We have Vegapunk go, oh, okay, you guys are friends with the Giants? Damn, well, they're here, that's awesome. Usopp is ecstatic to see them. We cut through, we have Brook drinking tea and Lilith being pissed off that this man just can't take anything serious, which, mind you, freaking hilarious that Brook's like, we won't have time to stop for tea while he's sitting there drinking tea. I love Brook's gags and jokes. He makes me happy, you know?
Right.
But, right? We have Jimbei traveling to this next location to go help Zoro so Zoro doesn't get lost. We pick up in the Zoro vs. Lucci fight a little different to what happened last time. So last time Zoro started using King of Hell, right? Here,
Right. And I think three swords too, right?
exactly, here, he's dropped back to two sword style and dropped out of King of Hell. I think that's really interesting because we have to think of the perspective of Zoro's never claimed to have mastered King of Hell. And we know it's
Right.
a huge stamina drain. He may have been trying to use it a few times, like off screen, and it exhausted him, so he's gone back to two sword style, right?
Right.
But holy shit, it is consistent. Lucci in base, without his leopard form, remember, Lucci in base blocked Armament Haki Zoro with just regular Armament Haki, right? But Lucci in his awakened hybrid form is able to block Zoro using Haki with no Haki on his hand. That is fucking wild.
That's pretty crazy.
So, at this point in time, Lucci's durability is skyrocketing. And I've seen so many takes on this already. People, honestly, I don't think people know how to take this, right? Because, like, I think some people are in the mindset of trying to gas up Zoro. Some people are in the mindset of trying to gas up Lucci. Some people sort of, in the middle ground going, oh, it's just inconsistent. I'm on the mindset at the moment that I think Lucci showed relativity to Gear 5, but was on the back foot, which makes sense that he's equal to, maybe a little bit better than Zoro with unmastered Conqueror's Haki. Right?
Right.
The result of this, though, I'm positive Jimbei is going to come in and punch Rob Lucci in the back with a massive Fishman Karate strike, leaving him open for Zoro to get a big slash on him. It's going to put Lucci...
like he did Hutu.
Lucci's going to get put down from it, and I actually, personally, this might be weird, I think the arc's almost over.
Yeah, definitely. Like maybe at most, I'll give it 5 chapters.
I don't think
Like,
we get a full volume's worth more than where we are.
yeah, because like you have to think the entire like uh, uh, uh giant warrior pirates are here. There's four giants that we know. There's three behind them in the picture that we see, like the first picture, and then the next picture there's like another four shown. So there's a good like 10 giants on the island.
Mm. And, I mean, mind you, right? Egghead started at 1060. We've been here for 47 chapters already.
That's like
Five
three
volumes.
volumes.
No, that's about 5 volumes.
5 volumes.
4 to 5 volumes. Right? I don't think this. I'm honestly. I don't know how quickly Oda's going to get through it because I know the arcs are getting bigger and better. But this being the first arc of the final saga, and this supposed to be like a pretty small arc, even though it's a big incident, I'm sort of looking at this and I'm kind of going like, we're almost at 50 chapters already. Like, Egghead is currently bigger than Thriller Bark. And, like, definitely more stuff has happened than Thriller Bark, but, like, I don't think we're staying here for too much longer, to say the least. Right? Because anything more than 10 chapters, and this arc is going to be almost as long as Whole Cake Island. Which is wild to say.
Was Whole Cake Island?
Whole Cake Island was about 80 chapters. 80 or 90 chapters. Dressrosa was 100. Whole Cake was 100. Dressrosa was 100. Zoe was 15, but like 2 volumes though, so it was about 20. Whole Cake Island was about 80. And then Wano was 150. So, right.
Well, I just realized, you know how they were saying that they were gonna stay with Robin or like look after Robin?
Yep.
Usopp, Nami, and Chopper are seen, but no Robin, like at all.
Wasn't Robin with someone the other chapter? Hang on.
Yeah, I think last chapter is when we
saw Robin somewhere because I did tally up that we had seen her. I just don't remember where. Because yeah, okay. So she's supposed to be with that group, but she's laying down in like a bed that they're pushing because she's injured.
Right.
Which we actually do see this chapter. So where Usopp is, you see that bed behind Usopp on the right. So I guess Robin is here, but she's unconscious for some reason. Or, like, heavily injured. Which, mind you, she was fighting the Seraphim, but, what the fuck happened to put Robin in such a heavily injured state? You know? Like, did Robin end up dropping the Seraphim? Which is why they were able to put the bubble shields around them? She does have Fishman Karate, so she could damage them by bypassing their defenses. Interesting. But, yeah, so we continued through, right? Brooke's doing that. We have this fight with Zoro and, Rob Lucci. Okay, how do you feel about Rob Lucci at the moment? Because I'm enjoying what they're doing with his character. In terms of strength, I think they've done a pretty damn decent job showing where he is. Like, weirdly enough, I would probably put him over... I'd probably put him roughly on par, but maybe losing to the different First Division commanders. You know what I mean?
Whitebeard Pirates?
Like...
Or of Luffy's crew?
All of the first commanders. Because, like... Okay, Katakuri versus Lucci. I see Katakuri just getting more hits in. But Lucci's, like, mad at recovering. So I could see a situation where both of them are in a spot where if one of them slips up, the other wins. Right?
We don't really know what's in Awakened Lucci's arsenal. Like, we don't know if he has, like, Future Sight or...
I would say since
like,
he hasn't shown it, I don't think he has it. Based on what I'm seeing at the moment, his observation haki is, like, relative to Zoro's. Right? But he's still got all of the 6 powers stuff that he had pre-time skip, plus some upgraded forms of them, which, mind you, was already super impressive anyway. But on top of that, it's like his armament arc is increased, and he's also got the awakening form, which means if you put him down, he can get back up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I see him at the moment. Personally, I think he's a better fighter than King and Marco, but I think his healing factor is weaker and durability factor is weaker than King and Marco, right? So I could see him beating them in an actual fight in terms of like skill, but I don't see him being able to put them down with his current arsenal. Whereas him with Katakuri, I see being like a 50-50 split. I would probably say that Lucci is individually more skilled than Katakuri, but I would say Katakuri's Devil Fruit allows him to overcome that with the skills of being able to spawn attacks. So I kind of have him sitting in that range there, which makes sense because that's sort of where I have Zoro at the moment too, just floating in the in-between of those commanders. But I don't know. Maybe I'm underrating him. I've seen a lot of people try to put him a bit higher at the moment. Especially since there's some other crazy fucking feats this chapter, which add like some different context. Because the next scene we go to, we have the pacifistas blowing up the marine ships, and we get the name of one of the other vice admirals here. So we currently have Dole is named. We have Vice Admiral Bluegrass, which is named, and we have Vice Admiral Red King, being the worm-looking dude with the multiple chins. Is it weird to say that I kind of feel like them using strategy at the moment, being like, pull the little ships back, send the big ships in, we'll just take out the pacifistas. Like, I like the strategy for it, but I also am kind of sitting here just like, can we just see the fucking Vice Admirals do stuff? Like, can we send these guys to start fighting the Giants? Because that would be interesting to see.
Definitely, especially since, like, I don't know, they had like one chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally one chapter, and I think we only seen like 2 or 3 of them do something.
Mm-hmm. And, mind you, I actually want to see. I don't want the Straw Hats to lose and the Giants to lose, but I want these Vice Admirals to actually not lose and actually look fucking competent and useful. Right? Like, at this point in time, I wanna see these dudes here get up and actually start throwing hands and doing significant damage. Like, show me this guy fighting equally with some of the giant pirates. You know what I mean? Maybe not Dory and Broggy themselves, but like show me that this dude is physically equal to like Oimo and Kashi and stuff like that. Right? Also, having the name Red King. Come on, man. You got King in the name. Live up to it. Be useful. Although I'm still not sure.
Some people saying that he got the red epithet after Sakazuki got promoted to Fleet Admiral, since of course the admirals have the colored animal epithets. So I heard some people saying that he got Akainu's red epithet.
Maybe. Weirdly enough, I actually think it's going to be because the color of his skin is going to be red. Like Zoidberg from Futurama. Yeah, like I got a feeling that this guy's gonna look really sunburnt because I think his abilities are gonna be steam related. Like, I don't know if he's got a steam Logia or a steam Paramecia or a zone that makes him like a worm.
What if he has like a knockoff like Gear 2?
That would be good. Honestly speaking, that would actually be pretty good. It would be good to see other people use it. Right? Like, I know the anime had that one scene that made it look like Whitebeard was doing it. And then when I saw that scene, I was like, well, what actually would stop Whitebeard doing it? If he's an Earthquake man, what's to stop him just putting tremors in his body that forces his blood to flow like Luffy? You know?
That would be pretty terrifying.
There should be other, like, I know each to their own creativity and stuff like that in this. But it's one of those things like, in hindsight, if someone's capable of doing this, why don't we see them doing this, this, and this? You know what I mean?
Right.
But that being said, we see them take out one of the Mark III pacifistas, which is impressive. But we cut to Joy Boy Luffy dancing over this whole group of people here. Again, even though they tried to escape the other chapter, everyone's still just stuck here, face to face with Saturn, right? Bonnie lets Luffy know that he is Nika. I'm reiterating here because I know so many people have been saying, oh, Luffy's already mastered Gear 5. That's as high as he's going to get. He already knows what his Devil Fruit ability is. He knows how his fruit works. He doesn't know that he's Nika. This chapter reiterates that, right?
And then he even says, Nico, what's that?
Mm-hmm. So, I'm...
So, what? It's like, we're like chapters away from somebody just explaining it to him, and him just being like, oh, so I can literally do anything, like anything,
Which...
and just get the most insane feats ever.
Right? Bonnie doesn't know that Nika's capable of that. Bonnie just knows that he's the warrior of liberation with a rubbery body, right? There's only two people know what Nika's actually like. That's Kuma and Vegapunk. Outside of the Gorosei and stuff like that, right?
That's a good point. So Bonnie didn't even tell him to like throw a punch like Nika. She said, "Throw what is it? I was going for a big rubbery attack like you."
Mm-hmm.
So she literally just told him to throw a rubber punch and just basically emphasized that he like Nika is made out of rubber. So we just need Vegapunk to come in and explain something.
Mm-hmm. So that comes to a double-edged sword. Because Kuma is a mindless robot at the moment, so arguably can't tell Luffy anything. And since Vegapunk just got impaled, we know that not all the Vegapunks share the same level of intellect.
Right.
So if this Vegapunk dies, what if with that goes Luffy's one chance of someone explaining to him the full capacity of his abilities?
I think if this Vegapunk dies, it'll happen before he dies, like him explaining it. And
But
other than that, I've been trying to think of like I feel like a Vegapunk not isn't gonna like join the crew, but like is gonna sail with the crew. So I've been trying to think of like what Vegapunk would be most useful, like story wise.
what? See, I'm questioning this, right? If this Vegapunk dies, we're taking another Vegapunk with us, right? Or multiple with us, right?
Right.
If this Vegapunk dies, no one's left to explain to Luffy what his abilities actually would entail, meaning until Luffy reaches Laugh Tale, he wouldn't know the full extent of his abilities. Meaning, Luffy can still have limited fighting capacities until they find One Piece, and then in the final war can actually do crazy, crazy stuff.
Right.
It's Chekhov's gun to go either way. He's either going to know and we're going to get greatness earlier, or he's going to die and it's going to be a subtle way of nerfing Luffy until the actual end of the story. I don't know which is which, though. You know what I mean? Okay, put it this way. Even though we're in the final saga and we should be getting all this information and stuff like that, what do you actually think is going to what do you think is actually going to put him over the line? Ooh, hang on. Sorry, I was just getting silly notifications then. I'm getting notifications that there's a bit of frame rate drop. That's all good though. I've got the settings up pretty high at the moment. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that? Because like, do you think he's gonna go the direction where he's gonna know his abilities, or the direction where he doesn't know his abilities? Because we've also got the Giants here, but we don't know what the Giants know about Sun God either.
I feel like with how many people are entering the story that know his abilities, I feel like he's got to figure it out sometime soon.
Mm.
Like, maybe Elbath at the latest, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in like a couple chapters.
Now, we also get to see Saturn use his fucking staring ability at Luffy, and it hurts Luffy in Gear 5. Right?
Right.
The reason that's so interesting to me is we saw Saturn do this against heaps of other people. But against Luffy, one, it's effective against him. Two, Luffy's made of rubber, so this isn't blunt force damage. So this really must be Haki in some capacity.
At least like a hockey infused attack.
Mm. Which actually is a big difference. Because if it was like some invisible barrier or something like that, Luffy wouldn't bleed because Luffy's still rubber. He wouldn't take blunt force damage.
Right.
So I think that's a really important little Easter egg or piece of information to keep aware of, right? The next thing, Luffy does the Booming Dawn Gatling. Personally speaking, I think this is the third strongest attack we've seen in Gear 5. I think it goes the Bajrang Gun, the White Star Gun, the Booming Dawn Gatling, the punch he did last chapter against Kizaru that didn't actually get a name, but I'm just going to refer to it as, where is it? I'm just going to refer to it as like the Gear 5 Giant Haki Punch. Right? Like, I know it's weird scaling the different attacks he's doing in Gear 5, but it's like the Bajrang Gun, giant, massive island, Duran Egg, all that crazy shit. White Star Gun, pretty much the same thing, just on a smaller scale. The Dawn Gatling, I mean, the Gatling's Luffy's fucking classic moveset, punching a dude over and over and over and over and over, right? Definitely badass. But then the single punch comes in after that, and then I think it's a bit of a toss-up between, like, the Dawn Rocket and the Gum Gum Lightning. But he's starting to get a pretty diverse.
Lightning was that.
Sorry, what was that?
Huh? I was thinking. I don't really think the Gum Gum Lightning is too effective, especially against like the top tiers.
Mm.
Like, I don't know. I feel like you can one shot some people with it, but like against somebody like Kaido, I don't think even if you know took it full force, it's not gonna tank. Like he's just gonna tank it, or Big Mom is just gonna tank it. Rob Lucci, I think, too.
It it builds a lot of interest, doesn't it? Because like him getting a pretty decent arsenal at the moment, and it being actually pretty diverse in that, regardless of like the level of the attacks, it's showing how he's still thinking like Luffy, just doing bigger, better attacks because bigger must be stronger. But if you notice, the way he's doing it is now more like Katakuri was telling him, saying, "This isn't this more effective?" Because if you actually look at the Dawn Gatling, weirdly enough, for once, it doesn't look like Luffy's throwing multiple punches with both of his arms. It actually kind of looks like he's stretching new arms out of his other arm.
I was thinking, I was like, it kind of just looks like he has like 4 arms.
Exactly.
Like, what's the difference between this and Elephant Gatling?
See,
Maybe that's what it is.
I think it's that he's making the new arms off his it's off his shoulders, right? He's just making the new arms off his shoulders instead of it being like a normal Gatling. Because the thing is here, right? You've got the punches that are landing, but then at the same point in time, when we see Luffy in the next, like after Luffy's landed the punches, you got the ones that look like 4 arms, but then you see there's one punch in the middle bottom that looks different to the other 4, right? That last one makes it look like Luffy just punched with one arm to end the Gatling. You know what I mean? Because that's on the next panel. That's what he's using, swirling around to stay in the air.
Right.
But Then we get to something that I think has become the most controversial part of this fucking chapter, right? And I'm actually going to go and set up the last chapter to show this side by side. So, we have Sanji blocking Kizaru's laser. Right?
Right.
Kizaru sees this and has a shocked face. Frankie says, "What the? How? That was a freaking laser beam, man!" And then Sanji says, "Light doesn't hold a candle to love." If that's true, they'll have to scrap the physics books and start from scratch, right? Now, obviously, this takes Kizaru by surprise, right? Now, mind you,
Right.
I have been on record saying that no one in the story that isn't a mythical zone has ever actually blocked or tanked one of Kizaru's lasers. And mind you, even among the mythical zones, it's only because they've changed, like they've had a status effect that alters what the attack does. Right? Marco took the attack and healed back from it, so the attack was rendered useless. And Luffy technically ate the attack, rubberizing it in his body until it just shone out of him like a torch. Right?
Right.
But Sanji blocks it here with a kick. Now, the controversial thing is this Sanji kicking it and blocking it as a skill feat to Sanji? Is this Sanji kicking and blocking it as a Lunarian DNA trait? Or is this just the boots actually having the same property as the light pressure gloves? What do you think?
I think it's definitely the Germa traits, especially since we can see that Sanji's in Germa mode on the bottom panel.
Wait, he is?
Also, I was just yeah,
The eyebrows.
eyebrow swapped.
Wait, I didn't even pick up on that. Hang on.
Also, I was thinking the face Kizaru's making, it looks like a surprise face, don't get me wrong, but it could be more of like a relief face or like a scared face. Because if you look on the top, his eyes are closed when he's shooting the beam. So when he's shooting, at Bonnie. So maybe it's just like more of a shocked face, like he opens his eyes and Bonnie's not dead again, like something like that. Like he's expecting it to be.
Personally, I have it being shocked that he blocked the laser. I did not pick up on that Sanji's eyebrows are the other way. That definitely could be a factor here. Because remember, we also had Vegapunk at the beginning of the arc talk about whether or not the Seraphim were ready for laser trials yet. You know what I mean? So if this is like Lunarian DNA coming into play here, then maybe Sanji's eyebrows swapped. It's activated his Lunarian DNA side, right? Resulting in him being able to block the lasers, no different to what an adult Lunarian would be able to do, which we haven't seen them take an attack from the lasers yet. And that would be a specific like trait just for them. What I was leaning on though is I actually think that this is the boots. The reason for this, if you look at last chapter, this isn't the first time Sanji actually blocked the lasers.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Last chapter, he kicks it with his left leg and blocks the lasers from hitting Bonnie when Kizaru does a barrage of them. If you notice, Kuma, Atlas, Frankie all get pierced by it. Bonnie doesn't. But if you actually look, Sanji gets hit in his shoulder by the laser, even though he's blocked it with his boot. So, the reason I lean on it being the boot is because it's not Sanji's whole body that's immune to the lasers. It's just his feet. You know what I mean?
Maybe, and maybe he's the only one that can, like, fight Kizaru like that. For, like, just, like, because he's the only one that actually fights with his legs. So he's the only one that actually has, like...
kicking techniques.
Yo, what if the light touching technology is in the boots?
That's what I think actually it is. Because
that's kind of crazy.
I think Sanji has a bad habit of giving himself the credit for stuff that science does. Right. Like, you know, when he first did Diablo Jambe, right? He made it seem like it was his emotions, right? But then later on, it's heavily implied that it's actually Germa genetic genes, right?
Right.
Same thing with Skywalk. Sanji said, I just wanted to leave that place so much because it was so emotionally burdensome, so I ran away, right? But really, what he did is just start learning how to use the Skywalk technique, right?
Right.
It could be the same thing here where he says, light doesn't hold a candle to love, and because Kizaru's response is, if that's true, they'll have to scrap the physics books and start from scratch, I think is, like, Kizaru and Oda's way of saying, this is science-based, not love-based. Sanji's just claiming that it's love-based. Alright? Mind you, I thought we had seen a scene of Atlas actually kicking or stomping on one of the holograms in the past, but I couldn't find it. So that may have been like an anime-only thing that I was sort of misremembering in my head. Right? But it actually would make a lot of sense to me that these boots have the light pressure stuff in them. Because, remember, they have holograms all over this city of Egghead. Which would make sense that the city of Egghead has light constructs as well. You know what I mean? So it'd be a matter of, like, they've got the boots so they can walk on the constructs made of light. Like it's just normal matter. But, either way.
Like the crocodile thing was more of like a bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Right.
I see what you're saying.
But now that you've brought up the Germa genes definitely could play a part. It could actually be Lunarian DNA being activated here. Because that was kind of set up. Or I think the other alternative is that it's just actually part of the boots. Everyone's able to kick the light away, but they haven't thought about it. We're going to get Vegapunk explain that the boots are capable of doing that later on. But it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, not many people are just going to be able to kick Kizaru. You know what I mean? But we've got Sanji there. But then we have everyone else bails. Specifically, Atlas leaves with Kuma. Frankie leaves with Bonnie. Right? And notice how the boots are letting them hover and fly. The boots actually let them fly away here. Right? They leave Vegapunk though. So Luffy and Sanji are here defending Vegapunk's body from Kizaru. Now this is a 2v1 to start the fight, but I think it's quickly going to change to a two 1v1s because Saturn's just around the corner, right? So we're probably going to get Luffy versus Saturn, Sanji versus Kizaru, Zoro and Jinbei versus Lucci. Right? But it's probably only going to be for a very short period of time before we have to leave. And it's probably going to result in Sanji grabbing Vegapunk and flying away. But also, you know how we haven't seen much of Robin? A good alternative for what she could be doing at the moment as well, partially, is she was one of the only people that was introduced to the concept of Vegapunk's spare organs that he clones. Now, Vegapunk said he's going to die because he's been stabbed and impaled, right? There is a possibility that they could actually save him with the spare organs. So that's definitely a possibility going forward. What do you think of that?
It's a good idea. I definitely, because I don't really see any other reason for Oda to introduce, like, that he can just, like, basically 3D print organs without that being useful
And it would be good
to, like, anything in the art.
it'd be good moving forward, especially like if they do have that. I mean, think about how important it'll be for Chopper to get that technology as well, as a medic.
Right.
But the next thing we get The end of this chapter, the next 3 pages, are fucking so wild. We have Saturn getting up from the rubble, and Katarina Devon and Lafitte pulling up on this fucking man. Sorry, not Lafitte. Van Auger and Katarina Devon. By the way, we still don't know where Lafitte is. We haven't seen him. Right?
Say, Auger is everywhere, but Lafitte is we haven't seen it.
Which I was so positive it was going to be Katarina Devon and Lafitte that Auger took me very much by surprise. But
Right.
pleasantly surprised. The problem I have now is, where is Lafitte? Because Auger has only just gotten here. Because remember, Auger was fighting Law with Blackbeard at the same point in time that we already saw Katarina Devon's ship pulled up on Egghead. Right? So what that means is Auger left that fight and blipped over here to help Katarina Devon. So Katarina Devon's mission was always to come here solo and try and touch Saturn. Right?
Is that her only goal though? Because it's kind of weird that it took so long.
I mean, it's weird that it took so long, but she was also waiting for Saturn to actually make an appearance. Because technically, it's probably only been a few minutes since Saturn's actually appeared on the island. It's just we've gone through, like, flashbacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? But Katarina Devon touches Saturn and can now turn into one of the Gorosei. We don't know if she can copy their Devil Fruit abilities or not, but we know she's able to turn into them. Also, really random sidebar here, Katarina Devon is no longer a spear user. Pre-time skip, she would use a spear. Now, we see her with a sword.
I thought she always had a sword.
Katarina Devon pre-time skip was a spearman. It's what she fought Whitebeard with. Which is interesting, isn't it? Because we've never really seen Nami or Robin fight swordsmen. And depending on how Katarina Devon fights, if she does rely heavily on that sword, we don't have many female swordsmen in One Piece that have a full focus on being swordsmen. You know? So it could make
I feel like she's gonna end up like copying what was his name? I forgot what his name was, but from the Doflamingo Pirates. What if she used the sword like him?
Like Pika?
Huh? No, the
Diamante.
Diamante, yeah, where he can use his like cape as a steel shield.
Maybe.
What if she's able to like? I don't know how. Maybe she touched him and is able to use his powers now, but
definitely possible.
Be interesting.
Definitely possible. But yeah, Katarina Devon touches him, can now change into him. We have fucking the best line of this chapter, right? So we have Teacher's Special. Saturn says, as in his lineage? Ah, so you know about that. Your crew is always up to something. What do you hope to get out of these stunts? And the coldest fucking one-liner, the world. Right? Clearly, Blackbeard is trying to take Im's position or get to Im's level. Right? Now, the thing that's interesting about that is, the next little clip we get, after these guys run away, is Caribou tries to beg them to join the fucking Blackbeard pirates. Now, first things first. This is teeing up one specific fight in my mind. I didn't realize I ever wanted this fight, but I think this is now leading to Caribou versus Bartolomeo.
I like that one. The Blackbeard superfan versus the Luffy superfan.
The two biggest superfans. And unironically, I actually think it's going to be where Barto unlocks Haki. To be able to touch Olivia.
I just realized the fact that doesn't Caribou know where the ancient weapons are,
Yep.
or
So,
two of them,
for
two of
the
the ancient weapons?
for the last 12 months, this has been my theory. I've been saying it on TikTok. I'm going to reiterate it here. You've probably heard it a fair few times now, but I'm going to reiterate this. My theory is and has been that Katarina Devon is going to touch two people. Monkey D. Luffy and Saint J. Garcia Satin. After she touches these two people, Caribou is going to join the Blackbeard Pirates. Now, mind you, this chapter confirmed more than 70% of that fucking theory for me. Right? The next steps, though, that I have is we're going to cut back to Hajinosu at some point in time. Garp is their bargaining chip to join the world government, right? But they're going to be unable to join the world government for one simple thing that they haven't thought of, even though they're using Garp as the bargaining tool. Do you know what that is? It has been stated several times already that if the Celestial Dragons had a chance, they would have already assassinated Garp. The problem is, because he's the hero of the Marines, it's hard for them to do it without it backfiring publicly. Right? But Garp sacrificing himself to the Blackbeard Pirates and has an unknown fate, they now no longer have to do anything. They're not going to bargain with Blackbeard over Garp. But do you know what is going to happen? Two major things. Do you remember who the first Blackbeard pirate we were introduced to was?
Van Auger.
Before Van Auger.
Oh no, it was Lafitte.
It was Lafitte.
Right? Raiding Marijois?
And
or
where,
not raiding, but...
where was Lafitte? He made it to the top of Pangea Castle without being noticed.
Yep, Marijois. Pangea Castle. That's pretty crazy.
Lafitte, Shiryu, and Devon are going to have one super important mission. Get Katarina Devon into Marijois as Satin. Once Satin returns, that means the Blackbeard Pirates have a Gorosei member to give guidance and advice to. In other words, if Blackbeard tries to join the world government, instead of all the Gorosei going, we can't trust him, he's evil, they have the fake Satin to say, we should hear him out or he should join. Forcing an alliance.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but they would need to kill Saturn here then if they wanted to do that, right?
Or, instead of killing him, they just need to get back to Marijois before Saturn.
That way it's like, well, who's this imposter?
There's only one problem with their plan. In that side of it. That Saturn's alive, but more importantly, if you actually remember in the Doflamingo flashback, we find out that Celestial Dragons actually have subdermal computer chips in their skin. These subdermal chips are actually ID chips for the Celestial Dragons to prove their identification.
Right.
So unless Devon can turn into Saturn in his entirety, Devil Fruit and chip included, they could get caught. Right? But on the other side of things, my theory was this. Do you know what is going to happen? Wano has its borders up. Now is not the time for Wano to drop its borders. That's what Momonosuke said, right?
Right.
To drop Wano's borders is to sink the island back to the sea level, right?
Right.
Caribou's going to tell Blackbeard where exactly Pluton is and where exactly Poseidon is. And two things are going to happen.
I can just imagine it.
Blackbeard
Go ahead.
is going to sink Wano with an earthquake.
I can just imagine it. Just
And,
like based off of the Law versus
and Black
Blackbeard fight that was animated,
and
the Tremor
Blackbeard
Crush.
is going to take Pluton. Now, Katarina Devon has two missions. She may start with Marijua, or she might start with this other mission first and then go to Marijua. The other mission that Katarina Devon has is with Caribou as a guide. As Luffy, she's going to go to Fishman Island to kidnap Shirahoshi, the other ancient weapon. Do you know what the craziest part of that's going to be?
What was that?
That was the prediction that Charlie had about a man with a straw hat destroying Fishman Island. It's actually Katarina Devon.
Oh, that would be crazy. So it would be
And to make matters worse, the Blackbeard Pirates currently have Charlotte Pudding. Pudding could remove Shirahoshi's memories and swap Blackbeard with Luffy in her memories, making her subservient to Blackbeard. Blackbeard has Pluton, Blackbeard has Poseidon, and Blackbeard has an invitation to join the world government.
you know, if it's going the way I think it's going, then we're gonna have to get Emu like revealed like entirely sooner than later.
Yep. What better?
Because
What better introduction for Imu than Blackbeard being accepted into the world government and coming up to Marijua for a ceremony, only to be confronted by Im themselves.
would be like because they're talking about Blackbeard's special lineage in this chapter, of course. So of course the other Gorosei and Emu would know about it. So it would be like if he's joining the world government, then he's gonna get talked to about his lineage or something.
About his lineage, or potentially even Imu may try to actually betray him. Imagine Blackbeard gets two of the ancient weapons, joins the world government, only to get taken out by Im. And when I say taken out, I mean taken out and like arrested, imprisoned in Marijua temporarily.
Way I think the first fight we're gonna see Emu in is gonna be versus Blackbeard. Like when Emu gets like fully revealed, and it's gonna be versus Blackbeard, and it's gonna be like the first time where we're gonna finally see who's the final villain.
What
Because
what happened
I feel like. Go ahead.
when Luffy went to Wano? He first fought Kaido. Kaido arrested him and imprisoned him. Luffy and Blackbeard parallel each other. Right?
Right.
You gotta think. Luffy, Blackbeard both went to Drum Kingdom, both tried to save it in very different ways. They have the same mindset but the opposite outcomes as each other. We see that when they're introduced with each other in Jaya. Right? If they parallel Blackbeard getting captured, no different to how Luffy got captured with Kaido, when the final war happens, what happens if they free Blackbeard then, and you already have the Blackbeard pirates imprisoned but in Marijua ready to fight?
Which case do you think they would join like Luffy's side or like our side, of course?
Think of
Or
it
do you think they
as
would
they
like
don't
I have the feeling like as soon as Blackbeard gets let free, like to join the final war, he's gonna go right
destroy.
back to trying to execute his yeah, like
Yeah.
usurp whoever's in charge.
Think of Blackbeard in that situation like Crocodile and Marineford. Powerful ally to help out, but also going against your main directive. You know how Crocodile went after Whitebeard. I see that same sort of thing happening, right? Just like I see Caribou and Barto, right? The fucking battle of the super fans. Their fight as well would just be a bunch of shit talking each other. Because think about it like this, right? Arguably, Caribou's the only person that can beat Barto.
Why do you say that?
Barto has his barrier up, Caribou can't get past it, right?
Mm,
Caribou drags Barto into his infinite dimension.
that's true. Like I don't like how do you even get out of that? Like even with hockey, can you just like hockey your way out of an infinite dimension?
I mean, you'd have to hark yourself up inside them and punch your way out, I guess. But it would make for a great matchup, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Um, but yeah, my theory, I've been saying for the last 12 months, even before we saw the Blackbeard Pirates ship, right? The chapter that we got. Okay. Before we saw the Blackbeard Pirates ship, I was saying that Katarina Devon was going to touch Luffy and Caribou was going to get picked up by the Blackbeard Pirates at some point in time. After we
Right.
got the chapter where Saturn, when we got Saturn name dropped, like Saint J Garcia Saturn, from that moment on, I've been saying that Katarina Devon is going to touch that man, and Blackbeard Pirates are going to weasel their way into the world government, right? 12 months later, we're here, and the start of that has started. The only problem I have is, even though I see all those things being set up and being like huge twists that a lot of people wouldn't have seen coming, I only ever predict Oda at best with a 50% accuracy. You know what I mean? Like, even from chapter to chapter, I can guess half of what he's going to do, but the other half is just so random, there's no way I was going to get it. So I'm wondering what's going to happen against my thoughts there that is going to backfire. Like, for example, what if Katarina Devon goes to Fisherman Island first and Blackbeard goes to Wano first? They get the two ancient weapons. And then Katarina Devon goes to Marie-Joie to try and impersonate Saturn, and because she doesn't have the chip, Katarina Devon gets taken out.
Pretty crazy.
On the flip side, there's one other player that I think has a direct narrative in that in that story somewhere, and I don't know if I like it or not, but it's Crocodile. Blackbeard was introduced at the beginning of the Alabasta Saga, around the same time that Crocodile was introduced, right?
Right.
It also introduced the Celestial Dragons with Vivi. It introduced the Poneglyphs, and it introduced the Void Century, as well as the Ancient Weapons, all in the same saga, all the same characters. Crocodile's whole goal was always to get Pluton, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he finds out that Blackbeard got Pluton, what would you think about Crocodile petitioning for Cross Guild to ally with the Blackbeard Pirates?
I don't know about that. Crocodile seems pretty untrusting as it is, so I don't think he would sign up to join Blackbeard.
Not join
Especially
under,
since Blackbeard.
but form an alliance because of the ancient weapon, because of his self-awareness of what the weapon is capable of.
Possibly, but yeah, I don't know. Crocodile's too smart for that.
Because
Like, if you're joining up with Blackbeard, Blackbeard's like the most pirate. we've ever seen, and we keep getting told throughout the story that pirates just stab you in the back. So I don't see like
Because
why.
that would be the perfect reason why. Because what alliance? We've only seen one alliance end in betrayal, haven't we?
Right.
That being Kids Alliance.
After any kids
Imagine the
and
alliance
all
with
this, but
Blackbeard and Crocodile, and both sides are super untrusting. Crocodile and Mihawk are super untrusting, right?
right.
What if they're the ones to betray them at some point, and Crocodile tries to steal Pluton for himself? Because Blackbeard's biggest problem at the moment has been he actually keeps inviting too many players onto his team.
That's true, and a lot of like,
Untrustworthy and unsavory types.
yeah, like the level 6 impel down prisoners. I don't trust.
Aokiji.
Yeah, like Van Auger being on his side, I trust, honestly, like being loyal to a fault. Doc Q,
Those first
Burgess,
five.
all of them.
Those first five,
Ye-
I trust for
Yeah, but
him.
the people he just picked up and impel down, like just because they want to fight, I don't trust.
Mm. So,
Maybe you
because,
know how you were saying that maybe Katarina Devon gets like attacked because she don't have the chip.
yep,
Maybe that was always like part of the plan, and the people he picked up and impelled down was just like fodder, or like
potentially.
somebody he's gonna make strong enough just to like sacrifice for his goal.
Because, hear me out on this, right? Luffy, I think throughout the course of the story, Luffy's actually invited 17 people to join the crew. He asked Gaimon, I mean, he asked the Centaur and Punk Hazard. Like, he's actually asked a fair few people to join the crew. Right?
Right.
But the difference is,
Didn't he?
the other.
Didn't he ask the weird tree in Funk
Yep,
Hazard too?
yep. The other Straw Hats, though, shut him down on it.
Right.
Blackbeard's the opposite. Blackbeard just freely accepts pretty much anyone that wants to join his crew. Right?
Mm.
The difference is, it's the same charisma, but it's the difference in the luck come end of game. Because right now, Blackbeard's whole crew has actually done nothing but just benefit him with no drawbacks, haven't they?
Right.
But his entire fleet is based on scumbag and villainy. I reckon it would be very befitting for him to end up coming back around in the other way and getting rolled over by his own perspective of allies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ooh, hang on 1 second. I might have. Give me a minute. I might have to have some more intermission. I might have to wrap up soon. I've got something important on. Sorry. Give me 1 minute. I'll be back.
Definitely.
Hey, sorry about that, guys. We're gonna have to wrap the stream up early a bit here, so sorry about that. But that being said, we've definitely got more that we're gonna talk about. Now that we don't have a break as well, that's gonna be great, and hopefully next week we'll be able to get a few more people in, and get our ball rolling on talking about the stuff that we've missed the last couple of months, talking about our theories and that a bit more. And on top of it all, and I'm giving Turtle Hermit the warning now. It's almost time. I have to organize for us to do our top 50 stream. Annual top 50 coming up. So, if you're excited for that sort of stuff, keep your eye out for that greatness and start working on your list, young. Yeah?
Definitely, definitely. I started on it a little bit ago. I haven't gotten too far on it, but I'll definitely finish it now.
I keep struggling with it now because I'm like, there are so many new characters that jumped in. I don't know how to like gauge some of the newer people.
And so, like I'll be like I did like 10, like the first 10, and then I was thinking I was like, wait, we got like Garling introduced, so shouldn't he be like at least somewhere up here, like close to Roger? So like I just keep on thinking of new characters, and it's like, I need to add that to the top 50 now.
Yep, these guys. There's a lot of there's a lot of great people to say the least. That being said, until the next chapter of One Piece, thank you guys and girls for coming through. Couldn't do it without you. Young, do you want to say goodbye, my dude?
Bye guys, have a nice day, have a good week, and
We'll
yeah,
catch
I
you
guess
next time.
that's it.
Yeah, we'll catch you next time. If you haven't done so already as well, subscribe to the channel. Help us hit our goal of 333 subscribers. Thank you all. We're sitting in the mid 250 at the moment, which actually is crazy because it wasn't that long ago that I only barely hit 70. So thank you all. Honestly, it means the world to us. And it's always good to build a bit of a community and get active in things like in the description down below, like the Discord where you can join and talk anything anime and manga related. Maybe even work your way onto streams to talk about some of these fun things, or like the Discord. Oh, sorry, TikTok where I do short form content and I go live a bunch more over there. Also, Young is a bit more active on TikTok as well. And we've also got things like my Twitter, which is kind of here and all there, and my Twitch, where I do gameplay content for all sorts of stuff. I've recently played through Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. I'm playing through Baldur's Gate 3 and loving it. But yeah, check all that stuff out. Until the next chapter, or until the next video, nothing but love, nothing but respect, peace. Have a damn good day. Goodbye.